territory of a love affair, but yet again, this is not a romance with a happy ending. The music is filled with an unresolved longing. The inner truth of this piece is the same as Romeo and Juliet. Idealized love always has a tragic ending.
We all adore this city. The ballet, the opera, la 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 la. But you, poor divine innocent, you still have the whole world to explore. And I know how lusty you can be. Go to the villages, my dear. Half the Tsar's people do. The villages are so full of the most glorious creatures.
Please, for heaven's sake, people will hear you. It's true. Prince Pyotr right. Just a few rubles, Pyotr, and you can have whoever you want.
They call it a shameful vice. I can tell you, my lad stood proud as a god.
I can imagine.
God, I smelt of his sweat for days.
You're Mr. Tchaikovsky, aren't you?
No,
Yes, you are. You and your friends are paedophile buggers.
Are you mad? Do you know who I am?
Yes. You are the Prince of Sodom and citizen of Gomorrah. Why aren't you locked up? You should be shot. You're vile, filthy.
I'm not a paedophile. He's a pig for saying that.
No, of course you're not. Your music sculpts the air with romantic love. We adore you for it.
How can he call me that?
Because he has no mind. Shame on him. Not us.
The fate-laden atmosphere and raw emotion of Swan Lake were a mirror to Tchaikovsky's own interior landscape. Despite his success, Tchaikovsky feared that public knowledge of his homosexuality would destroy the career he'd worked so hard to create.
I've been constantly distressed.
I know how that feels. How can you know how that feels? Oh, look. Please, my dear, I'm sorry. When I'm angry with you, I'm actually angry at myself. For you're ever playing the role of a mirror in which I see the reflection of all my weaknesses.
I can only be who I am.
But yet, there is an unbridgeable abyss between us and most people. Can we not disregard what other people might say about your inclinations? Our inclinations, my dear, our inclinations.
Tchaikovsky's emotional life was in crisis, but he was still determined to keep working. The idea of adapting Pushkin's fateful novel Eugene Onegin into an opera had become his main preoccupation. I've come to the Mariinsky, the theatre in which Tchaikovsky saw many of his major ballets and operas performed. It's fantastic to sense the long tradition of Tchaikovsky performance that this place exudes. Eugene Onegin is one of the most frequently performed operas here. The opera's heroine is Tatiana, and the heart of the opera, Tchaikovsky's masterstroke, is the scene when the young girl pours out her love in a letter to Onegin, the man she's just met. This scene paints one of the most extraordinary psychological portraits in music, and I'm working on it with the soprano Irina Matayeva, who's one of the Mariinsky's brightest young stars.
Но так и быть, судьбу мою отныне я тебе вручаю. Перед тобою слезою твоей защиты умоляю, умоляю. Вообрази, я здесь одна.
More jet propelled now.
Никто
With Eugene Onegin, Tchaikovsky redefined what romantic lyric drama could be. More intimate than epic, more psychological than mythological. This was the very antithesis of grand opera. Its poetry focuses on a kind of anatomical exploration of love. So here was opera, which dramatized the emotional core of the everyday, expressing through music what it was to be a young girl in love and the cruelty of rejection. Altogether, an astonishing example of Tchaikovsky's ability to empathize, to create characters that truly live and breathe.